for 10 years. I am super excited to introduce everyone here in a minute. My friend and colleague is Sam Hall. She's a virtual teacher in Florida and also works at ClassTag on the content team. So we're all gathered here today. We're going to be showing you how to get some immediately useful free resources. That includes craft ideas, that includes educational lessons, that includes that includes also educational games. And before we introduce our two amazing guest speakers, just wanted to let you know that we really encourage comments and questions in the chat. We'd love to know where you're calling from, what you teach, any of that kind of information would be great to share. And as a bonus, we have a $50 gift card from Learning Resources. We're going to randomly give that to one person in the chat. And that gift card will be given out by noon tomorrow, and you'll be notified by Facebook if you are the recipient. So thanks so much. Let's kick it off right away. We've got Darcy here, and we've got Mandy Walters connected with Learning Resources. And I'm going to let them introduce themselves and share what they're going to be talking about today.
Sure. So I can go first. Hi, everybody. I'm Darcy Shaw. I'm Senior Marketing Manager at Learning Resources. We're educational toy company. We're all about learning through play, and we're really excited to partner with ClassTag for this session. And I've been with Learning Resources for about a year, and I'm totally outnumbered on this call because I'm not a teacher. I'm a mom and a huge supporter of teachers. So, and I'll let Mandy introduce herself.
Hi, everybody. I'm Mandy Walters. I am a special education resource teacher in Indiana, in Brownsburg, Indiana. I work with students grades K through 5, kind of with a whole host of different disabilities. Right now, I'm mostly dealing with a lot of learning disabilities, autism, things like that. I've taught for 13 years, and in the past, I have taught moderate to severe disabilities. I've taught gen ed, and now I'm kind of in this special ed resource role, so kind of run the full gamut. And I'm excited to just chat with everybody today.
Perfect. Thanks so much.
And guys, I'll be running comments, so feel free to drop comments, questions that you have, and I'll make sure the group gets to them, okay?
Thank you. All right, so let's actually just kick things off fairly quickly and jump in with a screen share. If one of you, I think Darcy, if you can share with us immediately some resources that are helpful for teachers, whether it's working with parents throughout the summer or whether it's kicking them off for the fall. Let's just jump in.
Sure. So we took a huge initiative back in the spring when a lot of schools went remote to really enhance our website and include a lot of free learning at home resources. So up in the, looks like it's in the top right corner, you'll see my screen. This is our Learning Resources website, and right at the tippy top, if you go to the home page, click Kids at Home, check out our free learning activities, it'll get you to this page. And we also just added a whole bunch more stuff to the site to get people ready for school. We're calling our campaign Ready, Set, School. And it's designed for whatever kind of learning you're headed back to, whether you're going back to the classroom, you're staying at home, you're a preschooler who's just learning at home anyways. We have things for you here. So I'll just keep scrolling and show you our team did an amazing Herculean effort to get thousands of resources up on this website, all things that you can print off and use for free, sorted by toddler, preschool, kindergarten, all the age groups. Plus, we have a lot of really fun games and puzzles. We love game schooling at Learning Resources. So if you want to do learning through play that way, and then it's sorted by subject as well. So if I pick kindergarten just for kicks, you can see we have tons of math activities, even bonus activities for our products if you happen to be an owner of some of our goodies. And then we also have a ton of teacher resources. So curriculum books, activity books, things that you can incorporate into your classroom or your remote classroom are all right here. And then this is our Ready, Set, School learning calendar. Mandy was one of the many teachers we talked to get some ideas of quick things that parents can do to get ready for back to school. So for teachers, I think this would be a great resource if you're still talking to your former class or parents in your community. Set yourself up for success by having these kids be coming back to the classroom ready to go and not coming in cold. And so that's definitely there for you all. Would love for teachers to be sharing those resources. And yeah, there's just tons. Our blog has a ton of really good, like Marcia said, craft ideas, STEM, ways to do STEM and science experiments at home, preschool games. I mean, I could go on, but I think you get the gist. It's action-packed over here.
That's amazing. Looks like there's thousands, maybe even tens of thousands of materials that are immediately useful and completely free for teachers and parents. So thanks so much for providing that to everyone. Mandy, maybe if you can jump in and just share, given your lens of teaching in special ed and having expertise in special ed for over a decade, how you found these resources or other resources that you use in the classroom. What do you do specifically that's unique to your special needs students that can be helpful to our other teachers?
Sure. I love all of the resources that Learning Resource has put together. Freebies, we all know teachers don't have as much money as we would like to spend on resources for our classroom, so free is always amazing. I know I just do a lot of browsing the internet, reading some of my favorite teachers' blogs, and finding creative ideas of ways that I can make things myself. Use up my full supply of lamination for the year within the first couple of months with, printing and creating a lot of my own things. But I also think there are great resources out there to be had for fairly inexpensive to get kids hands-on with their learning materials and manipulatives. I found with kiddos that I've worked with, both in the general education curriculum and in special ed, the more we can get them hands-on, engaging and interacting with what they're learning, the more it seems to stick and click. Using all those different modalities of learning and really getting them engaged tactily, verbally, through auditory and visual modes of learning, I think is really, really key to getting those concepts we want to stick in their brains.
Amazing. And just to drill a little deeper on that, either Mandy or Darcy, is there one specific lesson or resource that you have that stood out as being really, that golden gem that you want to use year after year, or that piece that you share with other teachers? Is there something like that that comes to mind that you can share with us?
Well, while Mandy's thinking, I will say, you think, but Mandy actually wrote a really great blog for us back in April for Autism Awareness Month, where she highlighted a couple of our products that she's used in the classroom, and not just the products, but also like how you can use them and why they're good for special needs students. So I would definitely encourage teachers to check out our blog. Whether you're looking for that blog or another blog, there's definitely some teacher perspectives on there that I think would be really helpful.
Okay, amazing.
And I guess I can't pinpoint any one thing, because I do have taught such a wide range of learners that there's different things that work, and I could take up a whole hour talking about all of those different things. So I think really just getting to know your kids, getting to know what makes them tick, and then plugging in some of those best practices to match them is really key.
Great. Okay. And then I'm going to just ask a colleague also if they can throw in the chat those links, the link, Darcy, that you shared with all those amazing free resources. And then I'll get a hold of a colleague also to add that article about autism. So thanks so much. I guess, the other thing is, Mandy, if you can share a little bit more also in detail. I know teachers are spending regularly $500, $600, $700, up, thousands of dollars truly out of their own pocket that's never reimbursed every school year on supplies. Besides kind of seeing what else is out there, do you have any tips from your colleagues of creating resources yourself and kind of that process you go through as you're creating resources?
I work with some really amazing teachers that are so talented in creating their own worksheets and documents for the kiddos to use. I'm nowhere near as talented as they are at making things pretty, but I do know there's a lot of times that we'll make like a presentation of some type, an interactive presentation that we can project in our classrooms and use with the kiddos. And that's something that can be used year after year or tweaked slightly for the incoming class. without really any cost or expense behind it. So I would encourage people to look into kind of like interactive ways to maybe project or have things on the screen in your classroom that kids can engage with. I also always love to use like any type of sheet protector or laminating like I talked about. I know Learning Resources has some great little pockets that you can slide your papers into, and then kids can reuse over and over and over again with dry erase markers, and that's always super helpful. Anytime you can create something that can be used time after time after time, it's worth it to spend a little bit of money on it up front because you know you're going to get a big bang for your buck.
Yeah, absolutely. On ClassTag Rewards, we have laminators that we are often giving away for free. And it is, ironically, our hottest item. They just sell out. Yeah. Sam,
lamination and Velcro. I mean, what more can a teacher ask for?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And we do have just a couple comments and like questions that I think would be great to address. Vanessa, actually, we've had two people ask, like, what are some home-friendly activities that maybe students can do that they already have those items in the house? Do you have any recommendations for that? Or anything on Learning Resources in terms of resources that you would point their attention to, Darcy?
Sure. The calendar.
The calendar. Yeah. Well, so let me make sure I capture this right for them. The calendar is really just a great place to just click. It's home-friendly activities with things around the house. It's perfect for them. So hopefully that answers your question, Vanessa and Lanika.
I have one other idea for them too, Sam. So we actually I did an Instagram live with I wasn't me personally, but we did one with an occupational therapist, and I thought it was really fun to talk about if you want to work on fine motor skills, especially if you do have special needs kids that are beefing that up. Sure, we have cool, awesome, fun toys that do that. You can also find things in your kitchen. Get the tongs out, get the cotton balls out of the bathroom, like get creative, I guess. And I was really inspired by the stuff that this OT shared with us that you can do with stuff that's just in your house that you're not thinking about. The meatball or the tweezers. Get those things out and let the kids play with them.
Yeah. Like using things that you wouldn't normally use that way, but
yeah, right. Go for it.
Actually, I'm gonna jump in also with one idea that I used a number of years. We had used duct tape, we used popsicle sticks, we had paper clips, and that was it. And they basically were challenged to create a business product. I taught at the time middle school, and only using those resources. And the things that came out of there were absolutely incredible. We had one kid, he brought his grandma into the class, and he had built this glow-in-the-dark jacket for his dog. We had once, and this was a student who wasn't necessarily as engaged as some of the other students. And we had one student build, laptop cover, wallets. One student who designed all the kind of cutlery and table decor for a restaurant and went out. And we actually had a few students who built items that they went door to door and sold, and they came back with all this money. I'm like, all right, this is cool. So
entrepreneurship at like a young age.
It's incredible kind of also when you put some parameters and you limit what they can use to create that thing, how creative they get. Now, just to jump in also kind of, the unspoken question really is how are things going to look this coming year? And it's unknown. It's different across the country. We hear some schools that and districts that have made decisions. Obviously, very challenging time. And Mandy, I don't have a specific question for you, but maybe if you can just speak to us a little bit about your experience, Darcy, what you're seeing as well, and give some insight from your lens of the world.
Sure. I know when we shifted to at-home learning at the end of last school year, it was a big hurdle for the school system that I work in because we don't have one-to-one ratio with our devices to students. And so there was a lot of glitches to figure out in that whole process. Instead of relying heavily on technology, we did kind of rely more on printing some items out at home and kind of more paper pencil tasks. And then over the summer, there's been a whole crew and committee who have really dug into different platforms that we could use if we need to be at home again this school year. So far, we're on track to go back to school a week from tomorrow. So we will see how that all shakes out. But I think if it comes to be that we have to be back at home learning, I'll be learning right along with the kiddos how to use kind of the new systems that they've put in place and new platforms. I would love to read comments from anybody who's had like a really great system that's worked for at-home learning. Any tips or tricks or ideas, suggestions that they have for me, I'm totally open to, because it's pretty limited to Zooming, you know, either with a whole class of kids or one-on-one with some of my kiddos who needed a little bit more support. And that is timely and challenging to coordinate at times. So any tips you have for me, I will take them.
Well, I'll put in a shameless plug for ClassTag. I mean, for those who are not familiar with ClassTag, we're a free parent-teacher communication platform. We help teachers get free supplies, and it's a just really incredible give-back model. So we built out our Google integration, Google Classroom integration this year, and just have had a huge spike in terms of parents and teachers using us as really their main connection, regardless of how school looks for them. But there are other platforms, but I had to share that, of course. Would love to hear in the comments if there are any other folks out there, you know, how school is going to look for you, how school is already looking for you, you know, any ways that learning resources or ClassTag can support you. We're here to help.
We have just, it's exploding, so it's great. We're getting lots of good comments in here. And everyone's telling us, you know, what kind of model they're going to. But we had someone ask for resources for 2-year-olds for Spanish. So hey, we heard you, Alex. We'll have to do some thinking and maybe some brainstorming. Marcia taught in French, so she might have a better idea of how to help you than the rest of us. I don't do languages, but she has a good point of view. And then we have, Darcy, you might know how to answer this. What resources do you guys have manipulatives for math? Because we've had quite a bit of math teachers talking about how to get manipulatives in the class or at home for students.
Yeah, no, thank you. That's a softball. Thank you for whoever asked that question. We actually, we're putting together some new sets of class packs of manipulatives, because I know a lot of classrooms are not going to be able to share materials, or they're going to have to send sets of manipulatives home. So that is something that's coming for back to school season for learning resources. It's not live on our site, but it will be. Or there are tons of math manipulatives on our website, pattern blocks, snap cubes, things like that you could certainly buy in bulk and set up individual sets, because I know that is definitely something we're hearing and that we're aware of as an issue. And we're also coming out on the same lines with some helpful items for keeping kids safe and healthy in the classroom. So sanitizer holders and social distancing dots to help kids stay spaced out. So yes, we have tons of free resources. We're also coming out with some new products that are just solutions to help teachers in this really tricky time trying to keep kids safe.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
And I think going back to what we were talking about a little while ago too, thinking of things that you have at home, you can always use like dried beans as counters. You can use coins. There's tons of things around the class or around your home that you can use for free. So even if it's a Matchbox car or Legos, any of those kinds of things are great and very engaging for your kids too.
Mm-hmm. In terms of the Spanish for 2-year-olds question, Sam, that's a challenging one. I mean, a really popular resource for learning languages and a free resource is Duolingo, but it's designed for generally older folks. So I would see if there's any great YouTube videos out there. We can do a little digging for you and find something and put it in the chat later today. But, you know, some songs that are language relevant. When I was teaching French, you know, any time that we can make that language fun, it was really sticking, and the songs were a great way to do that. So we'll see what we can find for you after the chat here. I guess the last question really, as kind of we start to wind down before we take any Q&A, and just a last reminder to everyone, we do have a $50 gift card that Learning Resources is going to give away to someone in the chat, and that will be given out tomorrow by noon. So get your last questions in there before we wrap up. But I wanted to ask you two, if there were 3 key things that you wish you could share with all parents and all teachers that are listening now and watching this video later, what are 3 key things that you want teachers to know, whether it has to do with getting or finding resources or preparing for the school year?
I can go first. So I think one of the biggest things that I try to keep at the forefront of my mind is that, like, we're all in this together. So teachers and parents alike, we are feeling all the same feelings. We're on this roller coaster kind of together. And likewise, our kids are in this together. So they may not be progressing at the rate that we were hoping that they would be by the time they're in 2nd grade or by the time they're in kindergarten. But them and their age level peers are kind of on the same track together. We're all moving through this, and we're just absolutely doing the best that we can to support kiddos throughout it. So that's kind of the one thing at the forefront of my mind. I also want all the parents out there to know that we miss your kids. We miss being in the classroom. Like, that's what fills all of our buckets. So we want to get back in there with them just as much as you want them to get back to school. So we're all trying our hardest to make that happen. And we know it's not easy for parents to be doing this teaching thing at home. There's so many parents who are working full-time and trying to maintain that and also keep their kids' education going. And my goodness, it's not easy as a parent myself, and I have a teaching background. So I cannot imagine for those parents out there who are like, I have no idea what Common Core math is, how hard all of this is for them. So we know it's hard. We know you're doing your best. We're doing our best too.
Thanks. There's something that was quite valuable I read the other day. It came out of Harvard's Graduate School of Education, and it really touches on what you just said. I mean, parents being overwhelmed with all of this content and curriculum and complicated things that teachers have to sift through. So how, as teachers, we can start narrowing that down and say, maybe, here are the 6 key things that would be really great to aim to help your child learn this year. And, whether it's, double-digit multiplication or it's writing in this particular style, just simplifying that for parents so that it's graspable and it's doable and achievable. And just as we wrap up, I guess, just wanted to invite Sam back to the chat, see if there are any last questions from our audience, and then we'll say goodbye.
Nope, I think we're good. We've actually had some great answers for Alex's question earlier. Teachers were helping teachers.
Okay. That's great.
Crowdsourcing at its finest.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks so much, everybody, for joining. Want to let everybody know to continue to add comments in the chat, and we will absolutely get to those and be monitoring those for the next couple of days. The other thing to mention, besides Learning Resources, great free resources, which are linked in the chat and also linked at the bottom of the event description. ClassTag is going to be hosting a number of weekly Facebook Live sessions. Those include amazing brands like Learning Resources and Microsoft and Crayola and UNICEF and Time for Kids and a whole bunch more amazing brands. So those are happening on Wednesdays. We'd love to have you. They're all different themes and topics. And the idea behind it is to honestly just provide immediately useful content for you as you prepare for the year. Thanks so much. And thanks so much, Mandy and Darcy.
Thanks for having us. Appreciate it.
Yeah.